Okay, thank you. So let's begin. How do I move this? Here. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is AI in tech talks. First, let me spend some few seconds to explain what I mean by AI in tech talks. So artificial intelligence is something where we see machines that we ourselves have built by our own hands with inanimate objects. When we see those machines exhibiting some kind of human behavior, that is artificial intelligence. Now, that's a very broad definition. In this session, what I'll focus on is just two aspects, or two, I can't call them aspects, just two things, or two yeah, aspects about artificial intelligence. One is natural language processing, where a machine seems to understand human language. And the other one is GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, where again a machine or an algorithm, they generate content in human language. They don't generate content in machine language or in bits and bytes. Generate content in a language that humans can actually understand. Any human can actually understand. So this session, I'll be whatever I'll be showing are based on these two things, these two aspects of artificial intelligence, NLP and GPT. And tech docs. How are these two things? How do these fit into tech docs? Let's look at our normal documentation life cycle. These are the phases of our normal documentation life cycle. At Rocket, we have implemented AI in these phases, the last four phases of the documentation development life cycle. We use AI during the writing, review, publish, and maintenance phases. And subsequent slides, I'll show you how. So the the writing phase. The first, what we technical writers do in and out. So before I even start showing you the implementation, let me go back a slide. Now for these phases, I'm going to show you the AI that we have implemented in Rocket. Some of the AI bits are available through the tools that we use. So that those are vendor specific implementations of AI that we are using. We have incorporated in our documentation cycle. Some of the AI stuff that I'm going to show you, we have developed in-house and using it. So some are vendor provided, some are in-house uh, AI implementations. So the writing phase, what we are going to what I'm going to show you is what the what a writing tool contains. Our writing tool is kind of AI enabled. uh, what we can do with this power in the tool is that take unformatted content or take plain text content and generate valid data content. So when I say valid data content, data is XML. It is a markup language. So the content that the AI generates contains is tagged with data, contains data tags that are valid at those positions, and help the writer, instead of manually porting uh, hundreds of documents from say Word or Markdown or even a PDF to data, we can use AI to generate a starting point, a stub files or starting point files that are data tagged. So what you see on the screen at the moment is something that I had taken from Microsoft, that it was a huge, some 800-page document that I was converting to data. Paste the content and the data file is generated. You will see that there are tags here. I mean, there is a data, the topic type is there, the body, etc. However, now there is a caveat there. However, uh, what I noticed was images were being completely ignored when the data content was being generated. And there are other small things like it is just a series of paragraphs. There is no section, there is no break kind of a thing. The topic type itself is generic topic type, not the specialized types like concept or task or reference. So while porting content from some other format to data, even though the writing tool promises that they generate valid data tags, uh, it's not really something that we can simply use. We still have to review it and correct the tags, make major corrections there. Works as expected. Does it work as expected? Not really. We still need to give it human inputs. The other thing that the writing tool provides is generating short descriptions. Now, short descriptions are again a data construct. It's that introductory paragraph that tells a person whether the content on this page is answering the question that the person is person has. So a short description is very important. It's the first paragraph in a piece of text. AI does a good job of generating short descriptions. This short description that you see here, this was, I think, a 4-page document. I mean, it was a fairly long document, and AI, when I ran it through the AI tool, it generated a very good a very good short description like this. However, again here, it works as expected. Sometimes it does not work as expected. On the next slide, I'm going to show you something that GPT has been accused of. Now, this writing tool uses GPT, OpenAI GPT. I'm going to show you something that GPT has been accused of fairly often, that it makes up stuff. When it doesn't know something, it will simply go and make something up and give the answer to you, pretending as if the answer is completely correct. So now look at one of my GPT responses on the next slide. Let's take a minute to read this. Now the thing is, the GPT answer is completely wrong, completely wrong. Now the dialogue, uh, the film that contains this dialogue was made before even Shah Rukh or Karan Johar were born. So this is something that ChatGPT has made up, and we see a similar behavior sometimes even in our writing tools. Now, for example, I have a file open on the right side of my screen, and I asked the writing tool to generate a short description. Now, look at the short description that has been generated here. This is completely, totally, fully, completely wrong. Now, I have some 3, 4 files open here. None of these files even contain this variable called TTL seconds after finished. It's nowhere here. Uh, and very confidently, this AI has told me that the text discusses the concept of this thing and its significance. The text doesn't, let me assure you. So this is again a complete fabrication. Chat GPT hallucinates. So yeah. So our experiments when for implementing AI, for injecting AI during the writing process, it's kind of 50-50. It needs close review by the writers, a very close review by the writers. You cannot blindly trust it at all. Now let's look at the review phase. Here I'll show you okay, let me first tell you that all our documentation is on a public server, a public facing server. But we also have something called a staging server, where we can put our documents and see whether everything is right before pushing it to the public server. We, Also, within our public server also we have visibility settings. so that when we put documents there, it is not visible to the public unless we toggle a switch. So during the review phase, what we can do is put our documents on the public server, set the visibility to only internal people, and do these review steps. Now let me show you. I have a video, but let me show this to you live itself. If the live thing doesn't work, we can always come back to the video. Uh, so let me go here. So now this is my documentation portal, and what I have something called an editorial copilot. Now this option is not really visible to everybody, and it's never ever visible to people outside of our company anyway. What I can do is use this option to uh, generate editorial suggestions. So I have this topic open, fairly okay sized topic, and I'll ask ChatGPT to give me editorial suggestions. So let's see what it does. So here are some suggested uh, editorial improvements. If you look at the first suggestion itself, you can see these are good writing principles. Consider starting with a problem statement or a question. Now, when we write anything, we are always told that always state what is it in for me is something that a reader will ask. So start off your topic with something that will tell the reader whether their answer is contained in this topic or not. So look at the suggestions. I mean, these are very good editorial suggestions. This could be formatted as a bullet list. Consider adding a diagram. This is a concept topic, right? So some things you do need some visual representations to make things more understandable. So suggested editorial copilot improvements is given here. If I go back to my PPT, that was a what do you call example of editorial suggestions generated. So now that was for a concept task. Let me concept topic. Let me show you some editorial suggestions that a task topic has generated. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Now this is a task topic. You'll notice it is a very long topic. It has flouted several laws of technical writing. One law, for example, it has 17 steps. Not good technical writing says don't have so many steps. So anyway, let's see. Let's see what the editorial copilot thinks about this topic. Again, if you notice, the topic lacks something. The topic lacks a good introduction, and in in a few seconds itself, the AI has detected that there are repetitions in text. For example, step 4D is repeated twice. There are some other editorial suggestions which are something that even your human editor would have given. So going back to the presso, again, these editorial suggestions are something that ChatGPT does fairly well. So no, sorry, not ChatGPT, AI does fairly well. This is something that we have implemented again through our vendor. This is vendor provided. Our documentation is hosted through a vendor called Zoomin. Zoomin has incorporated GPT into their offering, and every time we push our content on the portal, we see these small AI enabled things. these are again vendor provided AI. Um, Now let us look at the publish phase. Uh, what was happening till now was internal, rocket internal, right? We are planning, we are writing, we are reviewing. Now we have pushed the docs out into the world, and the world can read it. So where is AI there? What is AI doing there? Let's look at the publish part. Again, let's go back to that giant topic that we that I just showed you just now. This giant topic. Uh, Now this has been published, right? And this is open to the world. And now somebody, you just imagine you yourself have landed on this topic. Uh, Before that, imagine that the person who generated those editorial co-pilot suggestions, they completely ignored those suggestions. So the topic is exactly like that. It's still the same. Step 4B is again repeated and all that. That this topic still exists in this huge format. You look at this topic, you realize this is just too long, and you what you can do as a reader of this documentation portal, as a user of this documentation portal, what you can do is ask AI to summarize the content on this page. So when I say summarize, zoom in will generate a summary. Now look at this summary. It has removed all the fluff from all of these steps, these 17 steps with useless screenshots and stuff. It has been removed, and the essence of those steps have been summarized here. So if you are a user, you come here, you look at these steps, and these are steps that administrators and fairly technical people use. So you look at these and you immediately know what you need to do for this task. You immediately get a fair idea. uh, this this feature that we have, this has been actually a hit among our users. I mean, many people have come back and told us that this is very, very useful, and they've been using tech docs for 30 years, but this is something that kind of completely blows them away kind. So this feature has been very popular among our users. uh, let's look at another AI feature that we have on our portal, which is something called explain this code. Every piece of code that we put on our uh, website. So imagine, look at it from the point of a user. You have come here, you are reading these steps. Now you have this bit of code, and somebody is telling you issue one of these commands. Issue one of these commands, and you usually what you will do is you will do a copy paste, right? Sometimes because I mean you have very what you call sensitive kind of system. Sometimes before even blindly copying or pasting something, you would want to know what this code is about. You have, so for that we have an explain this code feature, which will explain the code line by line or variable by variable, argument by argument, parameter by parameter. This again is GPT enabled, so fairly long. For example, you give people a sample XML file or a sample config file. This, for example, is a sample config file where people can comment and uncomment these commands. Now, these parameters, sorry. Now, which parameter to uncomment, what to keep commented out. You can simply use this explain this code feature and get details about what each of these arguments are doing. Again, a very useful feature for people who read and use our documentation. So the third part of the publish, the AI part in publish, is this part that I wanted to show you, which is AI enabled search. There is a search Of course, we all have used search. We've been using search ever since you were born, and there is AI enabled search. Now, when I do an AI enabled search by affixing a question mark at the end of my search phrase, what happens is not only does the uh, the portal return your search results like normal, like expected, it will even give you a summary of the most from the file that it thinks is the most relevant to this search phrase. It will actually give the answer here itself. Additionally, it will give you some learn more links so that you can click these and go and learn more. So we go back to our slide deck, and so that was in the publish AI in our publish phase, which several people have actually said it enhances their experience with the website. I mean, tech writers exist because readers come and read what we write, and when they come back and say it enhances their UX, nobody can be happier than us tech writers. Now look at the maintain, and let's look at the maintain phase. Uh, this slide assumes, I mean, the next few slides assume that you are not a new company and you are not starting documentation from scratch. It assumes that you already have documentation. Your company has been creating deliverables, documentation deliverables for several years, and there is legacy. I mean, there are files, there are images, there are tons of stuff that are carried over from one release to another, and nobody wants to delete anything because they don't know what's going to go wrong if they delete some image here, some file there, some link will break somewhere, and after a few years we end up with documentation debt. There's something called code debt, technical debt in code. Documentation debt is similar to that technical debt in code. We have documentation debt. We have repositories, we have file systems that are full of documentation files that are completely useless. We can use AI uh, to find these files and do something about them. Now, how we do that? This for this, let me show you. Okay, so how we do this is through an in-house AI implementation. Uh, I'll just show you how this thing works, and then we'll look at the reports, which are the more interesting part. So what this script does is use natural language processing to identify and report identical files. So what I did just now was pointed the script to a directory that contains my data files, that huge repository with, we don't know which files are even used, which files are identical, all that stuff. And now what it will start doing is comparing each file with every other file in that directory and tell me this file is a repetition of that file. So how it does is it calculates a similarity percentage. So now, for example, the first result you already see here, similarity between these two files is 92%. Now this program takes a while to run. So what I'll do is I'll stop this program, or I mean, let it run in the meantime, and let it run in the background. I'll go back and show you. I'd already run it before the session and generated a fresh report. I'll show you part of that report. So, for example, if you look at the first row in this report, this file and this file have 96.55% similarity. Now, anything above 85% means that only probably one paragraph in those two files are different, or one something. Anything that is above 90, you can be very sure that only a word here or there, or a sentence here or there is different. Otherwise, the file is exactly same to same like we say, no, this is same to same. The file is same to same. So let me show you these two files, HETRXE. Now this file, these two files. Now study these files for a few seconds. You will notice they are exactly the same, except for a very minor difference. Now, the two files have different tags. So one of them, the entire content is in a note. In the other file, there are some paragraphs within the note. But the only difference in the actual content, the text of these two files, is that one file uses this prefix r slash r slash, and the other file doesn't. It has the same variables but without the prefix. Now, this is a prime candidate for a useless file that is taking up your disk space, that is taking up your repository space. This is also a prime candidate for if you are using data for conditionalization or for creating reusable content or code snippets. So again, using AI to find uh, files that should no longer be living in the systems. So coming back to the phase diagram, life cycle diagram. What we have seen is using AI in the maintenance phase reduces doc debt by a considerable margin, by a considerable degree. What we've been using, what is the tech that has been used here? The first three use GPT, that is a pre-trained uh, transformer. It is pre-trained. Uh, it is again, like when we started, I said we are going to focus on only two aspects, NLP and GPT. Now this is not something that is machine learning or LLM or something. It is just a pre-trained model that is working on a finite set of documentation. GPT. The last step, the maintenance phase, uses something called NLP, which is trying to understand human language by machines. It tokenizes your. So again, there is some technology involved there, which is beyond the scope of this session. But yeah, the technology used is GPT for the first three and an NLP for the last phase. Uh, a recap: this is what NLP and GPT are. Now, the results that we have seen is, for example, this is from our analytics, from our web analytics. Now, the GPT code block clicked. Remember that explain the code block feature? Now, look at how often this is used. This by far is the most popular feature of the AI implementation. People always want to understand the code that they are going to copy and edit and then use on their sensitive systems. So that is all that I had for the implementation of AI in our company today. I don't know whether we have time for questions, Puneet, but if you have any questions, and I'll be sharing this PPT with Shalaka. So these resources also will be shared. I'll just copy these what do you call, these links that I showed you just now and put them in the chat window so that you can go try them out yourself as well. And that brings me to the end of my session.
Okay, thank you, Anita. Yes, we do have a number of questions in the chat.
Oh, we do. Okay,
So yes, so
let me
I'll
go to
ask a couple of them. Yeah, I'll reiterate here. And for other questions, please join the AI WhatsApp community that we have, and then we can continue the question answer session there because we have a very tight timeline here, and we have six presenters. So I'll just ask a couple of them, and then we can move to next presentation. So Pranav Shinde is asking, on what basis the co-pilot is suggesting the edits? Can we change the instruction in AI model as per the organization specific standards to give the suggestions?
for that we are developing something else, that is we are developing something NLP, not AI, I mean not GPT powered. Copilot is doing it through GPT, right? For changing the parameters, we are developing an NLP based model for editorial inputs. So that is still in the works. uh, this, like I said, is what do you call, vendor provided on the website provided by the hosting service provider for a documentation, so we can't change the prompts, we can't change the input for the editorial copilot. The input is that topic itself. If we want a different set of suggestions, we'll have to edit that topic, regenerate the output, and then take the editorial suggestions all over again.
Okay. Thank you, Anindita. Then one more question. Amol is asking, suggestion given by Copilot on edit comments previously were expected to be thoroughly known by writers. Is it an indication that new writers would be more benefited by with this feature,
I won't
reducing
com-
dependency?
I won't comment because I don't agree with this bifurcation of new writer, old writer. This is something that is based on the writing ability itself. So no comments there. Uh, Everybody, I see that step that was repeated. Even I would have missed that. No, step 4B was repeated, or step 11 was missing something. Something it was the acronyms weren't explained well. So those things, even I can make those mistakes, and I've been writing since I think 15 years now. So we can't really say new writers. I don't agree with that demarcation at all. Every writer will benefit. So
Thank you, Anindita. We have a lot many questions, so I have pasted a AI WhatsApp AI group where everyone can join and continue with the conversation.